Need a high CLB, right? Why are you wasting time doing IELTS and PT Core where writing is difficult? In my personal experience and based on every teacher I have met, we have seen people stuck at IELTS 6.5 bands for sometimes years. Don't want to scare you, but that happens. Other modules are fine, writing is not. Well, my friend, come to CELPIP. This is much easier in CELPIP. We have seen people jumping from 6.5 bands in IELTS, which would be a 7 in CELPIP, to a 10 in CELPIP, not only because the format is easy, but because you can use some strategies that guarantee you success and guarantee you improvement. For example, first of all, we're going to begin with the format and why it's easier. Here, you don't have to write 250 words in any task. Here, it's only 150 to 200 words. There's task 1, which is an email. It could be an informal or a formal email. It has 3 bullet points. Then you got task 2, which is an opinion question. Basically, it's an essay question. And you have 2 options here. You choose either option A or B and write on that. Now, there's lots of great things in CELPIP writing, which makes it easy. But firstly, you want to understand the strategy that we need to apply. Go further, let me tell you, we are offering free CELPIP classes to lucky winners. All you got to do, subscribe, comment below. We'll select lucky winners and you will be sent our invitation to our free CELPIP training. Subscribe and comment below. Next most important thing you want to focus on is the structure. Get this right and all the coherence marks are yours. For task 1, which is the email, you got to do 5 paragraphs in total. Intro, which is where you do your greeting, formal or informal. Body 1, body 2, body 3. All 3 bodies will be targeting the 3 bullet points in the question one by one. Simple. Your conclusion is your 5th and final paragraph, and that is your greeting, either formally or informally. When it comes to task 2, you only want 4 paragraphs. You can do 5 technically, but it's too much given the amount of words you have. Remember, the ideal target we have here is 180 to 190 words. 4 paragraphs are best suited for this purpose. You want to start with the intro? Give your opinion here. I selected option A or option B, and this is why. Briefly state that, but the body paragraphs are where you're going to expand on them. Now, in body paragraphs, you can talk about your side, you definitely should, and you can talk about the other side if you want, but you have to be negative about the other side. Bash it a little bit. Don't support the other side like you do in IELTS. And when you do the conclusion, just wrap up the idea, the opinion from the introduction, rephrase it in the conclusion, and that's all you got to do. Let me add the cherry on top. In CELPIP writing, you have both spell check and the word counter. So you don't have to count words individually, and spell check really helps you. Caution here though, if you spell the right thing, but it's a different context, for example, the word week, W-E-E-K and W-E-A-K, both are correct. But if you use them in the wrong context, the spell check obviously will not detect it. There's no grammar check, only spell check. So be careful. We have discussed the structure already for task 1 and task 2. How many sentences should you now have in these body paragraphs that we discussed? Because you don't want to exceed them, you don't want to go under the limit, and you want to have enough sentences that the examiner says, this is appropriate task response. Here's the solution to that. Task 1, you need to have 2 points per body. Here's what I mean. You have body 1, 2, and 3 in task 1, right? In body 1, do 2 sentences, body 2, 2 sentences, body 3, 2 sentences. That's all you need to know. Now, how you can do this in an example? Well, let's say the bullet point you're trying to answer is describe the problems with the apartment. So the body paragraph, let's say it's body 1, you're going to describe one problem in 1 sentence, and you would say, secondly, this was the other problem. So you got 2 problems, basically 2 points, basically 2 sentences, and this would fit in this body. But if the bullet point said, describe the problem, so that's just one problem, you could do 1 sentence describing the problem and the other sentence explaining why it bothers you. So it's the first sentence is talking about how everything is disgusting and there's so much dirt and it's untidy. Second, you can talk about how you're a patient of breathing and you have breathing issues, and because of these, you're having some health concerns and you're worried about that, or your doctor warned you. And that is going to be enough to describe one problem in 2 sentences, not less, not more. When it comes to task 2, here you have an option. You could have one body with 1 point only, or you could have your body with 2 points, never more than 2, okay? Now, if you have, let's say the second idea, 2 pointed bodies, you have 2 points in each body, you want to do a total of 4 sentences in that body paragraph. You would break them up in 2 and 2. So 2 sentences would describe one point, and the other 2 sentences would describe the other point. This way you have 2 points and a total of 4 sentences in one body paragraph. This is one way to do it. The other way to do it is if you just want to do 1 point for the entire paragraph, you should do that point in a total of 3 to 4 sentences. Remember, in this method, we don't have the other point. In this body paragraph, you just have 1 point and you're elaborating on that. For example, I'm describing the advantage of opening up a park. If I do 3 sentences here in this body, the first sentence would talk about the advantage. If you open the park, it's going to help a lot of seniors and young people. The next sentence would expand on that and explain how and why. Well, because they could come there, there's no recreational facility right now, and young people could go to the playground, they could hang out with friends, while the old people could walk or have their socializing, their gatherings there, and you would explain this process. If you have an example, that would be an additional sentence, which is why you have room for one more sentence. If not, that's optional. You would then conclude in your final sentence by saying, therefore or hence, having a park in our area would be a wonderful idea for the citizens or for the municipality. Now you want to ensure you get the highest mark possible, and I'll tell you what my students do, the ones who get a 12 out of 12 in CELPIP writing. What they do is they set 2 to 3 minutes at the start and 2 to 3 minutes at the end. Start for brainstorming and the finish for proofreading. Now, proofreading is pretty straightforward. You read everything, make sure you don't have any grammar mistakes, and it should just be minor editing. At the end, you should not change complete sentences. If you're doing that, you're doing a reshoot of a movie, and there's lots of things that go wrong at the end. So try not to do that. But just proofreading, minor error correction. The start is where you have a good outline. In the brainstorming section, you want to dedicate 2 to 3 minutes in thinking about what points will go in each body paragraph for task 1 and task 2. Once you make a good skeleton, you execute an excellent writing and you wrap it up with a wonderful proofreading attempt which has proven to improve marks by 1 to 2 points at least. And perhaps the most important thing is using a good combination of simple sentences and complex sentences. This is your mark for vocabulary, and in fact the same thing happens in IELTS too. Remember, don't use one thing. Don't use just simple sentences and don't just use complex sentences. A mixture of the two is needed for a solid mark. Simple sentences are simple, they're short, no need to explain that. Complex sentences are the ones which have at least 2 clauses in them. For example, although there have been a lot of problems recently with the economy, this is one clause, we are confident that we can turn it around with the right strategies. This is the second clause. 2 clauses in sentences make sentences complex, and you want to do at least 2 of them in task 1 and at least 2 to 3 in task 2. There is a much more detailed lesson behind this. I cannot explain everything in this video, but luckily for you, there is a much longer version on how to do this exactly and correctly, and this was one of my most viral videos. The link for that is in the description, and you're going to see that right here somewhere as well. Check it out, understand in detail how CELPIP writing works. Comment down below, subscribe, like, and share, really appreciate it. And I hope this helps you in your CLB journey and your high score in writing.